What's up? Here's a quick start guide for the G43. There are two main ways to use this. First, we'll talk about the original way it was designed. This would be considered the sled G, powered by a single 18650 battery. When using it with the sled, you're going to want to load your material natively into the slide itself. I recommend loading it about 75 to 80% full, loosely packed, don't tamp it down, use a medium to coarse grind, and then you put the basket screen in the tip to keep your material inside while you're using it. You can use it in any glass rig with the standard 18mm connection, including J-hooks. Once it's loaded up, you can stick the battery into the sled, which starts the heat up process. Now, the sled that I included with these is made for button top protected 18650 batteries. There are three models of batteries I've tested that work with this. The first one is the LG MJ1, which many of you might have. This is the one I used to send out with it. Protected batteries will typically have this strip going up the side. The other two that I've tested with it are the Samsung 35E, this pink one, and also the Panasonic NCR 18650B. And they look like that. Now, the LG model is discontinued now, I think, but you can still get the Samsung and the Panasonic for about $5 to $10 each. So once your G is loaded up in the slide, you could fit about 0.2, 0.25. You take the battery. I usually start with the negative side in first in the sled. And then you just push it into place like that. You'll hear it click. Now it's heating up. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else. Wait about 4 to 5 minutes, and then you can start using it. When you're done, if you have the newer version with the barrel connectors, you can simply pull them apart, and now it's not heating anymore. If you have the original sled G, where this was all one wire, you take the battery out to actually turn it off completely. The main concept behind the G43 is that the closer your material is to the heater, the lower the wattage you're going to use. You will also need an external battery charger, since there's no port on this to charge it or anything. I personally like Nitecore chargers. There are a few different models of these. They have really simple ones that are pretty cheap, like under $20, and then they have more advanced digital ones. Now, if you have the variation of the G that uses a mod as the power source, what you're going to do after you connect the wire is start at about 10 watts if you're loading it natively inside of the slide. You might have to go up to 11-ish, maybe a little bit higher if you're going to use it as an injector, which we'll talk about now. So when using the G43 as an injector style heater, there's two things you're not going to need anymore. One of them is the battery sled. The other thing you can take out is the basket screen in the tip. When using it as an injector, you can use any bowl you want. I have two different types here. One of them is like an elevator style bowl almost. The other one's a little bit deeper, where your material is going to be a little farther away. And when using it as an injector, the sled or the battery is no longer going to be powerful enough for it. So you're going to have to use a wall power supply. There's two main types that I've been using and testing with the G43. This style you can find all over the internet, Amazon, eBay, other places too. It's very basic. It's a 12 volt, 5 amp regulated adjustable voltage power supply. It's got a regular wall plug and a male barrel connector on the end. This power adapter is only about $15. It is the least expensive way to use the G43 as an injector. If you want something a little more advanced and robust, you can go with something like this, a desktop power supply. This is a 10 amp rated unit. I think it was $60 to $70. The performance is going to be the same, but the main difference is the voltage adjustability. So with this cheap one, the main downside to it is that the knob is super duper sensitive, and it's a little difficult to dial in the voltage to the exact number that you want. As you can see in this clip, when I aim for a certain number, If it gets anywhere near it, I typically stop and leave it there. The other thing that's going to happen with this adapter when you're using it and when it's sitting is the voltage is going to drift a little bit, usually drifts down. I would recommend keeping an eye on it just to make sure that it's in the range you want it to be. But if it is, it'll work great with this. This one is more precise and you can go up 0.1 at a time to get exactly where you need to be. However, if you do get a desktop power supply like this, they typically don't come with wires or cords that have the male connector at the end. So you might have to make your own. Now, when you're using it as an injector with a bowl, since your material is now farther away from the heater than if you were to load it natively here, you're going to use a slightly higher voltage than the 3.6. What I typically do and what I recommend is to start at 3.7 and then go up at 0.1 increments at a time if you feel like you need to. In a bowl like this one, where your material's pretty close to the bottom of the slide, I would say start at 3.7. And if you need to go up a little bit, that's fine. You typically do not have to go over 4 volts when using it as an injector. And if you're using a deeper bowl like this one, where your stuff is a little farther away, you could go to 3.8 or maybe even 3.9. So the general range of G43 use is 3.6 volts when loaded natively to 3.9 on the higher end when using it as an injector. Either way that you decide to load it, natively or in the bowl, I do recommend a medium to coarse grind consistency, and I also recommend stirring between draws. Side note, if you have a Turbo G, there's not many of them out there, but some of them might have the heater extending down into this portion of the slide. You're going to start at a higher voltage, around 6.2 to 6.3. With either method that you choose, give it about 4 to 5 minutes to heat up initially. And when you start taking draws from it, give it maybe 20 to 30 seconds in between draws to fully get back up to the temperature it was at. Now, as far as cleaning goes, the process is going to be pretty straightforward. If you load it natively and use it like that, you'll get some residue and particles inside of the slide. The first thing I'll do is take a paper towel, dip it in ISO, wipe out the end of the slide inside. After you do the first wipe out with the paper towel, then you're going to take your pick to remove the oven screen. This is the screen that separates the chamber or the oven from the heater itself. Removing this screen will not cause the balls to fall out. Those are held in by the heater screens. And what removing the oven screen will do is let you get farther up into the creases to clean it out. When using the pick to take out your screen, you're going to first run it along the edges to get one side of it to lift up, and then basically just slowly pull it out. Once that screen is out, if it's still in good shape, you can soak it in ISO and reuse it. Typically, I recommend just starting with a fresh one. Next step is to take a cotton swab. If you have a precision tip one with the pointier tip, it might work a little better. The regular one's fine. You're going to dip it in some ISO and then swab out the inside. You can get up into the little crease right where it meets the heater screens. After you use the cotton swab to get into the creases, you could then do the paper towel again just to finish it off. This is the basic maintenance. That's all you really should have to do. If your G is really dirty or it has a lot of residue built up that extends into the heater itself, you could take the whole thing and soak it in ISO in a shot glass or any other container where the ISO will not go past the handle. You can soak it for a while like that. It should help clean it. And after you take it out, make sure it's completely dry before you try using it again. I've also experimented with putting it in a ultrasonic cleaner. After it's cleaned to your liking, you're going to put a new oven screen in. An important step before you stick the screen in is to curve it a little bit. I just use the tip of my finger and I rotate the screen and I push it down. And you want it to be a little dome shaped. Then you take it and you squeeze it a little bit to get it in the tip of the slide. Use your pick to then push it down into place. And then you can go around the edges, use the pick to push down any points that might be sticking up. and it should come out looking just the way it was before. I don't really recommend trying to fully disassemble the G43 anymore, meaning taking out the heater screens and the balls. You can if you really want to. The only issue is that it might be a little tricky for you to get it all back together the way it's supposed to exactly be. Many people have done it and it works fine afterwards. I just think that it might be a little tricky if you've never done it before. So I'm realizing now that that was not exactly super quick for this how to use guide, but that is everything you should really need to know on how to use it, how to maintain it. At the time of making this video, there's maybe a few hundred of these out in the wild. I'm currently still making them, not many. I only have parts to make maybe a few dozen more before I need to really think about what the next steps will be. I'm considering many different ideas right now for a possible next version of this, so I'll keep you posted on that if I have any updates. If you have one already, I truly appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. If you're interested in one, the best way to let me know is to catch one of my live streams. Like I mentioned, I won't be making too many more exactly like this, but I will keep you guys posted on what's gonna happen next. If you have any questions about it that I did not answer, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Stay up.